Imagine this. It's a clear morning in Arlington, and the guard at the tomb stands still as a statue. His boots make a perfect echo. Then, all of a sudden, a loud and rude SWAT unit shows up, and their leader shoots a taser right into the leg of the guard. People gasp, yet the soldier doesn't move, collapse, or stop going toward the unknown. People are shocked. There are whispers in the air. What type of guy can take a hit like that and not break? They don't realize that a 4-star general is already on his way to the plaza and is watching from the shadows. He is going to explain to everyone what this place and that tomb guard mean. Before we carry on with this fantastic story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, please tell us in the comments where you are watching from. And if you still think that honor, bravery, and sacrifice are important, help us keep their memories alive. It's a sunny fall morning in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. Not long after the sun has risen, there is a light coating of mist over the white headstones, which seem to go on forever. The air is clean and fresh. They lay down like tranquil warriors, each one remembering a life that was lost for something bigger. The tomb of the unknown soldier is the most important part. It seems like this mournful marble slab is holding the weight of history. Families, veterans, and school kids are already coming to this place where words don't work, and silence speaks louder than any voice ever could. Danny, also known as Sergeant Daniel Carter, is standing guard under the marble arch. He is 28 years old and a member of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, which is also known as the Old Guard. He was chosen to be a Tomb Sentinel. Danny isn't very tall, maybe 5'10", but he walks like he's made of iron. His uniform is well pressed, and the creases are sharp enough to cut bread. He holds his M14 rifle steady in his white-gloved hands, and stares at a location that only he can see. He takes 21 steps, stops, turns around, and then takes 21 steps back. It's not just a march, it's a promise to remember the troops who never came home. Danny knows what it's like to make sacrifices. He did 2 tours in the Middle East, and saw things that most people can't even imagine. A roadside bomb killed half of his squad and left a scar on his left forearm. He doesn't talk about it or post about it on social media. To him, the real heroes are the ones who didn't get to tell their stories, the ones who are buried under that marble. That's why he's here. That's why he volunteered for this duty. It's not about glory, it's about giving a voice to the voiceless. The crowd is quiet today out of respect. A dad holds his daughter's hand and points at Danny, whispering about honor. An older veteran in a faded army cap watches with tears in his eyes, remembering friends who didn't make it back. A group of high schoolers, who are usually loud and distracted, stand quietly with their phones down, feeling like they're part of something bigger. Click, click, click. Danny's boots make a sound that resonates across the plaza. 21 steps, a pause and a turn. It's like the heartbeat of the country itself, but that rhythm is about to be broken. 3 black SUVs pull up across the plaza, their tires crunching on the gravel path. They shouldn't be here. Arlington has strict rules, and random cars don't just pull up to the tomb. The door of the lead SUV swings open, and Lieutenant Mike Brennan, 38, a SWAT team leader from a local police department, steps out. He's broad-shouldered, dressed in tactical gear, and has a swagger that says he's used to being the toughest guy in the room. 4 more SWAT police get out behind him, all wearing vests, holsters, and tasers on their belts. They are apparently here for some type of joint training exercise that was approved by higher-ups, but the way they walk shows that they don't care much about the rules of this place. Brennan looks across the plaza, and the morning light shines off his mirrored sunglasses. He sees Danny in the middle of the march and smirks. He whispers to his crew, loud enough for tourists nearby to hear, "Man, look at this guy. Is he a toy that winds up?" Officer Jenna Torres, who is younger than the other cops, doesn't laugh. She walks around uneasily and stares at the crowd, but she doesn't say anything. The tourists are moving around and seem uneasy. A park ranger who is standing at the rope barrier moves forward and says in a calm but forceful voice, "Sir, this is a restricted area. No one who isn't allowed is allowed past this point." Brennan doesn't stop to show his badge. "Lieutenant Mike Brennan, Tactical Response Unit. We're here for work, joint ops training. We got the green light from the top." The ranger stops for a second to look at his iPad. "Sir, I don't have any record of—" "Hey, calm down," Brennan replies, cutting him off. "We're just looking around. Not a problem." He walks beyond the barrier, and his crew follows him. The throng moves away from the shark like water. Brennan stops a few steps from Danny, who has stopped at the conclusion of his march with his gun at his side and his gaze straight forward. Brennan tilts his head to get a better look at him, like he's a carnival ride. "So this is it, huh? The big event? A man in a fancy uniform, going back and forth like a robot. What's the point? Are you guarding a ghost or something? Danny doesn't close his eyes. His body is tight and his face is like stone. He turns exactly like a metronome after 21 seconds and begins his next set of steps. Click, click, click. Brennan laughs again, this time much louder. Come on, man. You don't say anything? Don't move unless the script tells you to. He takes a protein bar out of his pocket, unwraps it, and eats it loudly. I bet I could wave this in your face and you wouldn't even flinch. Did you learn to be a statue? The ranger gets closer and speaks more harshly. Sir, you're getting in the way of a ceremonial detail. Please take a step back. Calm down, man, Brennan replies as he waves him away. I'm just making sure the guy is paying attention. Allies, right? He smiles and looks at his colleagues. Everyone is on the same team, he says. I'll bet you $20 he's sleeping under that hat. People in the audience are becoming agitated. A mother pulls her child closer and asks, why is he being mean to the soldier? An elderly man in an army cap says to himself, disrespectful punk. Jenna Torres moves again, her taser in her hand. She nervously stares back and forth between Brennan and the crowd. She knows this isn't right, but she can't stand up to him yet because she isn't high enough in rank. Brennan's smile turns into something harder. He doesn't like being ignored, and Danny's silence is grating on his nerves. You know, he says as he draws closer to the march line, this whole thing is a farce. You're out here playing dress-up while real cops and soldiers are out there performing their duties. He taps his skull. You think this impresses anyone? A man who can't even move? Danny takes 21 steps, stops and turns. His eyes linger on him, and he doesn't move. Brennan's jaw tightens. Okay, fine. Let's see how tough you really are. He takes off the black and yellow taser and holds it up like a trophy. Just a little test, he says loudly enough for everyone to hear. Training exercise. Not a big deal. The ranger jumps forward and shouts, Sir, you can't. Not enough time. Brennan aims and shoots. The taser darts hit Danny in the thigh, just below the polished belt of his uniform. The electric buzz cuts through the morning air, sharp and ugly. Danny's body tenses, and his grip on the rifle gets so tight that blood seeps through his white glove, staining it red. His jaw clenches, but he doesn't fall. He doesn't cry out. He doesn't break his stance. The crowd gasps. A kid yells, Mommy, he hurt him. The veteran with the cap starts to march forward with his fists clenched, but he stops because he knows he can't go past the line. Brennan backs up and smiles like he's won something. See, the statue is still there. You think you're tough, huh? His staff chuckles uneasily, but Jenna's face is pale. She says, that was too much, Mike. It's a taser, Jenna, Brennan says with a shrug. Low voltage, he's fine. Look at him. Danny is fine, or at least he looks fine. He is still standing, his eyes focused on the area that can't be seen, and his rifle is steady. The taser darts hang from his thigh, and a dark burn mark spreads across his blue trousers. But his face is a mask of discipline, and his body is a monument to duty. People aren't quiet out of respect anymore. They're shocked, like the air before a storm. A ranger at the neighboring security station presses a button that says, Urgent Incident. Radios crackle. The event is no longer simply a tiny problem. It's now a crime against something very important. Someone else in the cemetery is already walking toward the plaza. This person has the power to fix things, and has been doing so for decades. The next few minutes seem like hours. Danny's blood keeps turning darker as it pours through his glove, but he starts his next march. Click, click, click. 21 steps. Stop. Turn. The crowd is amazed as he walks through the pain like it's nothing. The taser's sting is still there, but Danny is thinking of the soldiers who are buried in the tomb. They went through worse than a shock and never came home. He's not here for himself, he's here for them. Brennan is still talking, trying to fill the vacuum with noise. Come on, man. You felt that, right? It's not a terrible thing. His voice is becoming louder, but it's also starting to break. Jenna's team isn't laughing anymore. Jenna is staring at the ground and her hand is twitching like she wants to say something but can't find the words. People are looking at Danny, not at Brennan. Someone in the headgear says, that boy's got more guts than all of them put together, loud enough for everyone to hear. A new person comes from the Memorial Amphitheater. It's General William Hayes, a 62-year-old four-star general in the United States Army. He walks into the plaza, tall and with silver hair. His uniform is so crisp that it could stand on its own. His face is weathered but calm, and his eyes are sharp enough to cut through steel. He's not hurrying or yelling. He's just walking with a purpose that makes everyone else stop and pay attention. 2 military police officers are on either side of him, and a young aide with a radio is following him. People move out of the way as General Hayes gets closer. Brennan sees him, and for the first time his smirk goes away. He stands up straight and attempts to look like an official. "General, sir." He responds with a half-hearted salute. "Lieutenant Mike Brennan, Tactical Response Unit." "Sir, we're only undertaking a training exercise. I didn't mean any harm." General Hayes doesn't return the salute. He stops a few feet away from Brennan and looks at him with a steady gaze, as if he were gazing through him instead of at him. "Explain," he says. His voice is low, but it sounds like a man who has told a lot of people what to do. Brennan stutters. "Well, sir, we're here for a joint ops drill. I was just checking to see how the guard would respond. It's customary to make sure they know what's going on." Hayes doesn't move. "You shot a taser at a guard at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Is that what you mean by standard procedure?" The audience is quiet now, and all eyes are on the general. He speaks softly, yet his words impact hard. Brennan's face turns red. "Sir, it was a low voltage and not deadly. Look at him, he's all right. He's still there." Hayes glances at the grave, not Danny. He stops for a moment, as if to pay his own respects, and then looks back at Brennan. "That man is protecting the memories of those who died for this country. People like you may stand here and say you're free because men and women died without names or faces, and you thought it was okay to hit him and make a scene here?" Brennan opens his mouth, and then closes it. "Sir, I'm Officer Jenna Torres," Jenna says as she goes up. "I didn't know he was going to do that. I'm sorry." Her voice is unsteady but clear. Hayes looks at her and his face softens a little. "I see what you mean, officer. But this isn't about you." He looks at Brennan and says, "Lieutenant, put your guns down right now." Brennan thinks for a moment, then unclips his taser and service weapon and drops them on the ground with a loud crash. The MPs have no issue walking up and taking the gear. Hayes goes on. "You and your crew will be taken off these premises. Your training rights are on hold until your chain of command has had a chance to look at the whole situation." Brennan's mouth drops open. "Sir, you can't. I mean, I'm part of an authorized—" Hayes cuts him off and says, "You could watch, but you couldn't get involved. You went too far, Lieutenant, and you did it in front of those who came here to pay their respects to the fallen. You did it in front of kids." He points to the crowd, where the small girl from earlier is gripping her mom's hand and seems scared. "You did it in front of that guard, who is still on duty even though you did it." Danny has marched again. Click, click, click. He stops, turns, and stands up straight. The taser darts are still hanging from his leg. His glove is covered with blood, but his face is blank, and his stance is flawless. Hayes walks over to him and stops slightly off the path of the march. "Sergeant Carter, are you fit to stay on duty?" he says loudly enough for everyone to hear. Danny's jaw moves a little, which is the only hint that he's in pain. His voice is subdued and clipped. "Fit for duty, sir." Hayes nods quickly and says, "Carry on, soldier." Danny turns and takes his next 21 steps. The crowd watches, some with tears in their eyes, as he moves through the pain like it's nothing. Hayes turns back to the MPs and tells them to take the lieutenant and his team to the edge. You shouldn't talk to them until the leadership tells you it's acceptable. The MPs agree, and Brennan's team begins to move, heads down and not looking at the throng. Brennan tries one more attempt to save face. "Sir, this isn't right. I have permission from." Hayes cuts him off. "You can't desecrate this ground." "Lieutenant, you're done here." The MPs take Brennan and his team away, and their SUVs follow like dogs who have been instructed to stop barking. Jenna stares back at Danny, her face full of humiliation, but she doesn't say anything as she walks with her squad. Danny's boots keep clicking, but the plaza is still. There are still a lot of people there, but something is different. They are no longer just tourists, they are now witnesses. The army veteran with the headgear moves closer to the barrier. His voice is scratchy, yet you can hear it clearly. That boy has more honor in his pinky finger than that clown had in his whole team. Maria Lopez, a sergeant, comes out of the guard position to assume Danny's place. The switch goes off without a hitch, demonstrating great discipline. Danny steps behind a screen that hides him from view, where a medic is waiting. He has a small limp, but he doesn't grab the medic's arm or say anything. He knows he did what he was supposed to do, and that's all that matters. People in the square might be able to hear General Hayes talking to them. This isn't just a memorial. It's a promise to honor the soldiers who gave their lives, and whose names we will never know. Sergeant Carter stood his ground today, not because he had to prove anything to that man, but because he promised those soldiers he would. That's what being strong looks like. That's what it is to be honorable. Some people in the crowd clap silently, while others wipe their eyes. "Mommy, why didn't he fight back?" The small girl from before asks as she tugs on her mom's sleeve. Because he's stronger than that, sweetheart, her mother says as she kneels down and speaks softly. He's keeping something safe that is more important than him. Danny returns as the sun rises. He has a new uniform on, and there is no sign of the taser's damage or the blood on his glove. He goes back to the march path and acts like nothing happened. Click, click, click. 21 steps. Stop. Turn. The people in the crowd are calmer now and have put their phones aside. You can tell they're thinking by the look on their faces. They saw something today that will stick with them. The man with the headgear can talk again, and everyone close can hear him. That man used his dignity as a weapon, and it was stronger than anything that SWAT guy had with him. A few people nod, and a boy who had been quiet the whole time takes out his phone. He isn't taking a picture, he's writing something. It could be a message or a post to a buddy. Whatever it is, it has to do with what he just saw. By noon, many have heard about what happened. Brennan and his squad are at a military base, where they will be tested and probably finish their training program. Jenna Torres issues an official apology and promises she will learn from what happened. But the tomb is still alive. Danny keeps walking, his steps firm as always, and his gaze are still on that everlasting point. He doesn't know that people are talking about him, or that his story has already moved beyond Arlington. He doesn't need to know. He doesn't want to be praised. So, here's a question for you listeners. What should you do when someone tries to bring you down? Should you fight back, or stay where you are? Is it still powerful to stay quiet when everyone else is yelling for attention? To do your job no matter what? Today, Sergeant Danny Carter answered that question. He didn't hit or yell at anyone. He just stood there, strong for the ones who couldn't stand anymore. Please click the like button if this tale made you feel the same way it did us. Tell someone who needs to hear it, like someone who thinks being strong means being the loudest person in the room. Please leave a comment below, and let us know what you think real strength is. Please tell us if you've ever been to Arlington and felt how heavy it was. Your stories are highly significant. Hit the bell and sign up so you don't miss the next one. We have more stories of men and women who battle for a cause that is bigger than them. Keep this in mind. Till then, genuine strength doesn't have to yell, it just stands. And when it does, even the loudest people have nothing left to say. Have you ever been to Arlington National Cemetery? Have you ever been close to the tomb of the unknown soldier? This one will make you think about what strength actually means. So please tell us what you think.